You're listening to Podcast PXN,
a video game podcast,
delivering player experience news.
Let's go! What is up, guys, and welcome to Podcast PXN, episode 298. I am one of your hosts, Daniel Prindle, aka Dan is DTM on Twitter, and yes, I am joined over Discord by the Nintendo aficionado and hardcore casual himself, Roshan Warner, at Roro.
Hello. 298. Wow. It's crazy.
98. We haven't even talked about 300 at all. I've kind of forgotten.
Episodes away.
Yeah.
Life's moving fast nowadays, man.
Yeah. We'll have to see what happens. Stay tuned, I guess, next week to see what happens at 300. We'll find out ourselves. The host of Large Popcorn and video producer, Christian Macias, is not here with us this week, but he will return. But we are also joined by our resident Embark Glazer and my fellow Spartan, Gage Dempster, at Kilbo Biggins with 2 S's.
Reporting for duty, sir.
Eddie's soldier. We're going to war against $1 trillion companies.
Hell yeah.
The only war I want to be drafted for.
Hell yeah.
Thank you to everyone watching us live and participating in the chat, just as Keurig is right there. Hello there, my friends. It has been a while. Finally get to watch. We're glad to see you in the chat, Keurig. Just as a reminder, we are live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com/@podcastpxn and twitch.tv/podcastpxn as well. The topic of the show this week, guys, is Microsoft has announced their massive Xbox layoffs. We'll talk about that here in just 1 second. One housekeeping note real quick, just for fun. Anybody who watched us live last week, apologies because we were not live for the first 30 minutes. And Glenn, thankfully, let us know that we were not live. And I actually had a recording of the first 30 minutes because I clicked the record button instead of stream. So what I did was I actually included that 30 minutes in the podcast services audio and stitched together the rest of the episode. So for the first time ever, we have an audio exclusive. So if you want to hear the first 30 minutes of our conversation last week, check us out on podcast services, and you will find that there. So, all right. Moving into the topic of the show here, guys. Yes, massive layoffs. Microsoft has announced massive company-wide layoffs, including Xbox layoffs affecting many different divisions. So I've got quite a few articles here that's going to kind of go through all of it here. But let's go through the first part of it here. Microsoft has announced they are laying off as many as 9,000 employees in total. It's about 4% of its workforce, and yet another round of cuts this year. I'm reading from Tom Warren at The Verge, by the way. Xbox Phil Spencer said in a message to the team, to position gaming for enduring success and allow us to focus on strategic growth areas, we will end or decrease work in certain areas of the business and follow Microsoft's lead in removing layers of management to increase agility and effectiveness. Very interesting comment there that he said, we will follow Microsoft's lead in removing layers of management. It's almost like he was like told by his superior, which he has one, that he needs to do this. That I don't know if you guys got that same from what he just said there. We're going to follow Microsoft's lead in removing layers of management. That's an interesting way to put it.
Right. It seems like a very minor way to try and kind of
frame
reflect.
it.
Yeah.
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 So interesting. So with that, Bloomberg reports that the now Microsoft-owned King division, which was part of the ABK acquisition, they're the makers of Candy Crush, is cutting. They are cutting 10% of employees, or 200 people, while other units such as ZeniMax Online have also confirmed they are cutting jobs, which I'll talk more about them in a second. Microsoft is also laying off more than 70 people at its Forza Motorsports studio Turn 10, which is roughly half the studio, as well as canceling its Perfect Dark and Everwild games. The studio behind Perfect Dark, the initiative, is also closing down as part of these layoffs. And all of these layoffs are coming less than 2 months after Microsoft announced it would be cutting more than 6,000 people. So there was a lot there. Forza Motorsport, it definitely, I would say that game is probably struggling in terms of getting a lot of players to play it, and maybe that was a factor, and basically they're just keeping enough people there that can just keep the game operational, which is unfortunate because if you go to Metacritic or OpenCritic, Turn 10 is quite literally probably the only Xbox studio that has every single game they've ever released is in the green. Every single one. I looked at it, and the most recent one was the lowest. I think it was an 84, but still in the green. It was still a good game, and it's very unfortunate that that they're suffering such major layoffs and seeing them turned over essentially.
Yeah, it's tough because those games are really well made for the niche audience that enjoys them, but at the same time, it's one of those things. I don't think there really should be any layoffs because the company's doing so well. But if you're looking at it through the eyes of the evil corporation,
right,
I could see how they would how they would have their sights on Turn 10, just in the sense that it's never gotten huge traction in terms of the casual audience. It's always been very much a niche game for a niche audience.
For sure. And I think that's where Playground maybe avoided some of that with them making Forza Horizon, because it's a much more accessible arcadey experience. More people
absolutely
interested. Let's talk about the other two games that were canceled, or the two games that were canceled: Perfect Dark and Everwild. Perfect Dark. Of course, Ro and I were on the live stream of the Game Awards 2019, 2020 maybe. I can't remember the exact year that it was announced, but I freaked out when this was announced, and I was so excited for it. And obviously it's been up and down through turbulent times, and I was optimistic after we got our look at it last year. I was very optimistic about it and very excited to finally play it, of course, knowing that the initiative was basically just a Trojan horse, so to speak. The initiative wasn't the major driver of this game being made, because the reports were they couldn't even keep staff there. They couldn't keep a team together there, and that's why they brought on Crystal Dynamics to actually help further development on this game. But as it turns out, that didn't really help them because they're now the game's canceled, and we're now learning more about it as well, because Kotaku also recently revealed that the gameplay demo last year for the now canceled Perfect Dark was entirely fabricated. According to Kotaku, the demo, which was released last year, was not based on the actual game and was instead pre-rendered. Super disappointing and super upsetting to hear that, because what we were looking at looked awesome for me. And to know now that it was just a facade is super disappointing. And I thought that we were past that kind of era of showing things that weren't actually real, but apparently we aren't. Yeah. So
You're
that's
supposed to say not actual gameplay at the
Right.
bottom if you aren't.
right.
What the
Yeah, that's fair.
heck?
Yeah.
Can I just say I was the odd man out when that gameplay footage came out, and I told you guys this doesn't look real. This looks like mobile game ad, and you guys were like, "No, it looks pretty good." My sniffer was onto something. My
That's
spidey
fair.
sense was tingling.
That's fair.
I am the Lisan Al Gaib. All right, we need to have faith.
Stupid.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was very disappointing. And I think the other thing to look at here is like Crystal Dynamics, they're starting to struggle pretty majorly. Like,
Right.
I mean,
You still haven't heard about Contraband?
Yeah, they're struggling with their own game with Tomb Raider. They're making a new Tomb Raider. There's a lot of reports about that having issues, and yeah, not too optimistic there.
Interesting. It's so like I don't know like how are they running into trouble? Like they've made
Right.
the game before. I don't understand what's happening to some of these studios that have like the track record and of making good games or making games in general. Just like, oh, we're having trouble this time. Like things aren't working out for one reason or another. And I know game development is hard, but they are game developers,
Right?
and I don't know what's like. I don't know what's happening. But the other side of things with like the artist perspective, I like. So first, I want to say like PlayStation makes more than Xbox, right? Like they're winning; they make more money than Xbox, right?
Yeah.
But does Sony make more money than Microsoft, or Microsoft makes more money? Microsoft makes more money, right?
Yeah.
Completely different ballparks. Yeah, Microsoft
right, because
dwarfs them.
They have their feet in or their toes in so many different things. It's not just making games, and Sony does too. But then my third question, I guess, is Nintendo. Do they make more than Microsoft, or does Microsoft make more than Nintendo? Or is that something we don't know?
I'm not sure about that. Sure. Yeah.
I would still say that Microsoft makes more just based on what we know.
Right.
And for Nintendo also being a company that is in less than both of those companies, just making games, just making hardware. As for Microsoft makes hardware, software, all those other computer stuff. So I assume they would make more than both Sony and Nintendo. And I don't want to.
Sorry. No, sorry. I don't. No. I didn't mean to cut you off. Just to clarify,
please do. If I yeah.
Tencent is consistently the highest grossing company, and I forgot about this. After the ABK acquisition, Microsoft is actually number 2 now. So before that acquisition, they were behind Sony, but now they're ahead of Sony because of the ABK acquisition.
Okay. Even more to my point is that for a company that makes so much money versus companies that are making less and are doing in their perspective worse off, but still making games, not closing down studios, not laying off people. For example, Nintendo, and I don't want to glaze Nintendo too much because there's stuff wrong with Nintendo, absolutely. But I saw this on Twitter and it made me think like Retro Studios is a pretty good example where they released Tropical Freeze, I think in 2013, 2014, and just up until now or 2023, they hadn't released a game. And the game that they did release was like a remaster. And a lot of studios that have similar pedigree, I guess, to Retro Studios aren't given that chance anymore to have that time to cook and make games like Metroid Prime 4, which they're about to release this year, Game of the Year contender, all that jazz. And Metroid Prime 4 did almost get canceled, or it had to restart, but Nintendo was willing to stay by Retro's side and let them see that project through to completion, and hopefully it'll pay off for them in the long run. But a lot of like studios aren't like, I don't know what's like, why not? Like, especially studios that have proven themselves. And I'm not saying like to give everybody a chance and waste your money on like new blood and all that kind of stuff, but like the studios that you bought, you're not even investing in. Like, you're just shutting them down and you're not giving them the amount of time that you've given them before. And it's not like you're making less money. You know, like they're still making the billions of dollars that they've always been making.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's such a shitty thing, especially if you're an employee of Microsoft and you're looking at Microsoft stock sitting at an evaluation of almost $4 trillion. Like, that's insane. Yeah, words can't even quantify how insane it is.
I'll just jump off of what Ro was saying about how like some of these studios are like really well established and have made great games, and now they seem to be struggling. We don't have this in the quick bite, so I'll just say it here and we don't have to touch on it later. But there's a report that came out today about Battlefield 6 going through. The devs are going through like insane stress, super long hours, crazy crunch. Apparently because they're having issues in development. And in that article, they speak to the leadership at that studio constantly pushing them as if they haven't learned this lesson 6 times already, but DICE is exceptionally tone deaf. Pushing that studio to add things from Fortnite and Call of Duty into that game is the gist of what's happening with Battlefield 6 development, according to this article. So when I hear about like things like Crystal Dynamics and these studios that we talk about that have made really great games before, why are they struggling now? There's always this little tiny voice in the back of my mind that's saying like leadership is coming in and they're showing this development team that has a vision that is on track, and so they kick in the front door and they show them this clip from another game that's totally fucking irrelevant. And they say, put this thing in here. This thing is doing really well. It's viral right now. Make sure we add something like this. And the developers put their fucking head in their hands and go, all right, I guess we're gonna add emotes to Lara Croft Tomb Raider. Okay, let's figure out how to weave this into this. Like, I imagine it's stuff like that. Because you're right, Ro. Like, when you think about it logically, these studios have made good games before. Why are they struggling now? In my mind, that's the Occam's razor. That's the easiest solution. Is what's happening. Is you have senior leadership coming in and showing them nonsense from other games and saying, "This is popular. Make sure we put this in."
I mean, we were talking about our evil picks last week, and Fortnite, I think, is part of the problem. Like, it's influenced so many other games. Like, we're getting fucking Beavis and Butthead in Call of Duty. That makes zero sense. That doesn't make sense at all.
I think what I saw this tweet from Jez Corden today, and I think it speaks exactly to what you and Dan are saying. And he asked, "Why is the game industry struggling right now?" And then he brings a quote from like an article, earlygame.com, and it says, "The gaming industry is facing a significant shift in how players purchase games. Nearly 30% of gamers expected to buy no new games this year, 2025. Titles like Fortnite, GTA Online, and Roblox now take up approximately 40% of players' total gaming hours." And then, like Gage was saying, like the higher ups see that number and it's like, oh, we have to make games like that. Even if we're not making games like that, put the things from those games in this game that's nothing like that. So people will play our game. And I was like, that's not exactly how it works. But at the same time, if I wasn't a game developer and I saw that and I'm the numbers guy, I could see how they can come to that conclusion. It's a stupid conclusion, and they should do their research if they're running a video game company. But I can see if they don't do their research, how they can come to that conclusion as to why they would put all this random shit in their game. But the research is also there that doesn't work. Like, all these games are, you look around in your own industry, the games that are being shut down are the games that do that. Just pull random trends, and it just doesn't mesh with whatever you're actually trying to make.
Yeah.
Right.
Following trends instead of setting trends.
Yeah. Very good point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kirik says leaders are usually the problem because they are all talkers and not doers. They don't get it and just want to make themselves look good to their bosses and don't care in the end if it ruins a good idea. The creators, the artists pour their heart into their work only to get it stepped on. I agree with that. Yeah.
It's true. Like, and it's so sad because artists, no matter what, it will always make art. But the industry that allows them to sell their art doesn't care about the artist that allows them to make the money from their art. But artists will always make art, which I think the companies obviously prey upon. It's like, we'll always have people who want to make our games. So make our games, and when it doesn't work out, we still get the money from you making our games. So it's like, I don't know. They always win in the end,
Yeah.
which is really sad.
It is. And I think that's why also you see so many people leaving these big companies and forming their own studios so that they can do their own thing.
That's true. Yeah.
So.
I guess that is hopefully the end goal for hopefully most game developers.
Yeah.
Making games, buy games for gamers. Buy gamers for gamers.
Glenn's giving us shit right out of the bat here. He said, let's go. We're working right off the hop here. Thanks, Glenn. And then he asked how the new digs are, Gage.
Very good.
Nice.
Very good. Slowly but surely getting settled in. Thanks to Glenn, by the way. Shout out to Glenn, who was a powerhouse on the weekend helping us move.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Good work, Glenn. Okay, so let's talk about the other game that was canceled also, Everwild. Of course, Rare has been working on this game for forever. Like, it's been at least 4 or 5 years since this was announced. And I think the problem is this game is another one that was in consistent trials and tribulation because they didn't even know what this game was. Like, they couldn't figure out the gameplay, or at least for a long time, that's what things were being reported about the game, was that they had a very cool visual identity, but they couldn't figure out what the game actually was. And it is unfortunate, though, because I think there's a lot of talented people that work at Rare still. It's not the same people, or not all the same people that worked in the 90s and the 2000s, but, like, you know, there's still a lot of talented people there making updates to Sea of Thieves every single freaking quarter, it seems like, which is insane that that's still going. But yeah, Everwild being canceled, it is sad to not actually get to see what that could have become.
Yeah, very sad. Again, sounds like a leadership issue, because if you don't know what you're making, that means the people who's spearheading the project don't know what they're doing, because the developers will make what you tell them to. They'll so you don't know. Yeah. Ay.
Indeed.
Shucks.
We also we randomly got news in the middle of the day that said Phil Spencer was apparently planning to retire at the when the next gen Xbox was released. Well, apparently Microsoft says that Phil Spencer is not retiring anytime soon. The company responded to rumors of Spencer's retirement, which spread online today following the layoffs. Phil is not retiring anytime soon, says the head of Xbox Communications in a statement to The Verge. This denial came after Call of Duty leaker Ghost of Hope claimed that he would be retiring from his role as CEO after the launch of the next generation Xbox, and that Sarah Bond would be taking over as CEO of Microsoft Gaming.
Can I say something crazy?
Uh-oh, here we go. Because I think I might disagree, actually.
I don't believe this because a rumor came out today, and that's why I believe it.
Right.
But in the back of my mind, I feel like they have slowly but surely putting Sarah Bond of front and center.
For sure.
So this, to me, I think this is the order of operations that we will see at some point. I don't think that they have like a whiteboard written down that has Phil's last day on it right now.
Right.
But I think that Phil probably is getting to that age, and they probably are thinking about it. And I think that Sarah Bond would be a great choice.
No comment.
That's all.
No comment. Here's the thing. I used to really like Sarah Bond. Like, for a long time, I really liked Sarah Bond. But lately, especially in their video packages, if you listen to what she's saying, it feels very corporate-y, and I don't like that. Like, Phil, to his credit, will just tell you how it is. Like, sometimes he'll say words like customer, but he will still say like how things are. Like, when Redfall released and it was a disaster, he went on Kind of Funny, and yes, they didn't ask like pressing questions, but they did ask him about it, and he was very open and honest for that. Like, that kind of stuff. Like, Phil is not gonna bullshit you, Whereas, like, lately, especially everything Sarah Bond has been in, I feel this like sense of like she is like hyper corporate focused energy. Like maybe I'm wrong, but like I don't know. Lately she's been, I don't know, a little corporate-y for my taste.
Okay, interesting. I don't disagree that she sounds corporate-y. I don't think Phil Spencer's ever not sounded corporate-y to me. The only thing that separated him from other CEOs to me was the fact that I know for a fact that he actually uses and plays games and knows the product. But he's always come off as a CEO to me. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair.
Interesting. Okay. Going back to the ZeniMax thing, Jason Schreier posted here on Blue Sky. He's no longer on Twitter. The new MMORPG project from ZeniMax Online Studios, the maker of Elder Scrolls Online, has been canceled as part of the Xbox layoffs, sources tell Bloomberg. The project was codenamed Blackbird and had been in development since 2018. A long time. And also, the ZeniMax Online Studios president, Matt Fuhrer, announced on Twitter via their Twitter account today that he also would be leaving the studio after 18 years there. So yeah, a lot more movement there from ZeniMax. I don't know that I'm necessarily, well, let me clarify. I'm very upset about the employees who are losing jobs, but in terms of this project and MMORPG, that's not my cup of tea. So like that specific project, I don't think is a huge loss for me, despite other than the people losing their jobs, just to be clear. Eric says he will miss Phil with crying face. Wow. that's like an ultra dedication there, Kirik. Oh my god, Glenn's calling out Rowe? What the fuck? Glenn's saying, Gage, where was Mr. Rowe during the move? Wow.
That's a great point. That's a really good point.
The shade is real, Glenn.
You guys know I wouldn't be able to lift anything with these noodle arms, so you didn't. It's okay.
You know what?
Oh my gosh, that would have been a hindrance.
Kirik also says happy belated Canada Day. And then Pat Nat's joining us, just tuning in. Don't know if you've already covered the Rare layoffs cancellations, but that's all very sad to hear. Yes, we actually just talked about it. Yeah, talked about Rare and how disappointing it is that we didn't get to actually see the fruition of what Everwild could have turned into, unfortunately. So yeah, that's the ZeniMax. Oh, I'm sorry. There was one more piece to the ZeniMax, which this is just wild. This is still from Schreier. As one illustration of just how sloppy and chaotic today's mass Xbox layoff has been, some employees at ZeniMax Online Studios are now watching their Slack accounts abruptly get locked out. No message from HR, no word on whether they still have a job, just an ominous Slack deactivation.
Nice.
A little sketchy.
Very cool.
Yeah.
A giant company with all these resources, and they still have to do shit like this, where people are, finding out they've lost jobs on Twitter. Like, there's some things about this that is like inexcusable.
Yeah. We also got from Schreier as well. Many of Xbox's subsidiaries are also getting hit by the layoffs this morning, which includes Call of Duty studios such as Raven. So Raven Software also getting hit with some layoffs, which is interesting because they're I think Raven's fully the team that makes Warzone now for Call of Duty.
Right.
Okay, so that's that. Oh, I meant to put this in the Rare bit as well. We were just talking about Rare again. Banjo-Kazooie and Sea of Thieves director Greg Mayles has announced that he's leaving Rare after 35 years at the company. So one of those grizzled veterans that we were talking about are few and far between. He is now leaving Rare as well. Considered one of the most influential game designers there at the studio. We also got word that 50% of the Xbox user research team has been laid off. The team is considered a key group that focuses on ensuring quality across Xbox games, the platform, and developer tools. Probably not a good spot to cut, when you need QA and that kind of stuff for make games better.
Right.
Not good. All right, so all the sadness there, all the terrible news of people losing jobs, not good. Let's just do a recap real quick of what Xbox has been up to since 2024. Since 2024, the Initiative has been closed down, Perfect Dark canceled, Everwild canceled, the new ZeniMax Online Studios IP canceled, 50% of Turn 10 is gone, 10% of King is gone, layoffs at Raven, Arcane Austin closed down, Tango Gameworks almost closed down and then ended up selling, Alpha Dog Games closed down, Roundhouse Studios closed down, and Blizzard's Odyssey IP canceled. A lot of not good stuff happening since 2024, which I'd say is partially because of how bad the industry is right now, but also partially with how bad management has seemingly been at Xbox. Kirik said, you know what this reminds me of? Remember the scene in The Fifth Element where Gary Oldman's character Zorg gives the go-ahead to can 1 million jobs like it was nothing. Good comparison. Oh. All right, so all the bad news, awful, terrible for all the people that have lost their jobs. Hopefully they get back on their feet quick. Very terrible. Especially when you're trying to, take care of your family and all of that, and then you just get this abrupt news that you lose your job. It is not good. Hopefully they get something very soon. The very slightest bit of a small win on a sad day today is the news that a source close to the situation has told Variety that every game featured at Xbox Game Showcase presentation in June is continuing on, and Xbox still has more than 40 projects in active development. Very small win there with all this bad news.
Exactly. And who's to say for how long?
For sure.
They can get canned at any moment. They're being worked on for now.
Absolutely.
And hopefully they make it. I hope they do.
We'll see what happens. Hopefully Microsoft makes its trillions, and that's the problem. Microsoft's never going to be satisfied. Their corporate overlords are going to want their money even more. You only made $1 billion last quarter. We need $7 billion.
$7 billion. Oh God.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump into the PXN news of the week. I just have one item in here, which is from the Capcom Spotlight from last week. I believe it was Thursday, right after we recorded. And we got a few things announced just to give us a little bit of a deep dive, not a deep dive, but a little bit of a look at what Capcom showed off. So they started off with a Pragmata gameplay deep dive, revealing a closer look at how players will be able to utilize the powers of an android girl named Diana and a lunar investigator named Hugh Williams. Gameplay involves thinking on your feet by hacking and shooting enemies in an adventure set on a seemingly abandoned lunar research facility. I'm reading from IGN, by the way. This is Michael Kripe. We also got news that Sagat is coming to Street Fighter 6 on August 5th. New character addition there. And then we got Street Fighter 6 swimsuit outfits are dropping on August 5th as well.
Woohoo. Hell yeah.
Is there going to be jiggle physics? That's
1000%. 1000%. There's jiggle physics in the characters that don't even wear skimpy clothing.
Oh, wow. Hell yeah. All right, I'm going to have to look into this game. Capcom also talked about Resident Evil Requiem a little bit and addressed the Leon-shaped elephant in the room. A closer look at Resident Evil 9 meant more details about protagonist Grace Ashcroft and its gameplay. This was mostly an opportunity for the Capcom team to talk about some information that fans have already been made aware of, such as third and first-person gameplay. And the developers did talk about Leon S. Kennedy a little bit. Unfortunately, it remains unclear if the legendary video game Survivor will be able to be played at some point in Resident Evil Requiem, but the team did walk through why it's hard to make Leon the main character of a horror video game. We always thought about making Leon the protagonist, but making a horror game based around him is difficult, director Koshi Nakanishi explained. He wouldn't jump at something like a bucket falling. No one wants to see Leon scared by every little thing, so he's actually quite a bad match for horror. I still feel like they're gonna put him in. I feel like they're kind of like misdirecting us here, and they're gonna put him in like a really bad situation where he loses all of his gear and like he's in the depths somewhere and has to like fight his way out of a sewer system or something. Like, put him in a bad situation and you're gonna scare the fuck out of him. Like, if you've got nothing on you and you got a fucking big ass zombie that's like, I don't know, gonna rip your head off, it'll make him scared.
I have an alternate take on this. I think that he is going to be in the game, but I think that because of the success of Resident Evil 7, which was much more horror based, and then you had Resident Evil 8 Village, which had some horror moments to it, but was a lot more action packed. I think this is going to be a half and half game. I think that what's going to happen is you're going to have horror sections with the new character, and then there's going to be more. It's going to be like a jumping back and forth between these two characters, and then you're going to have the more action set pieces with Leon. Because they kind of did that in Village where, I mean, somewhat spoilers for Village, but there's a certain point, it only happens once, I think, where it switches to a new character, and this character is like fully kitted out, you've got like a bunch of ammo and weapons, and then you kind of go on this like one little set piece spree. So I can see them, if they're using previous games as templates and they're building upon what they did before, I think that's what they're going to do with Leon. I hope that's what they do.
And I still think it would be great if he's stripped down, no clothes, nothing. He just stripped down, no equipment. Fucking.
I'm hearing that you want to see Leon stripped down, and you keep saying that. Just say what the heart wants. What the heart wants. Dan. Yeah, just say it.
Yep, exactly. I want to see Leon. Yeah. Stupid. Oh, okay. Capcom also has big plans for Monster Hunter Wilds. They have a new update 2 launching Monday, June 30th, which it's already out. So there you go. The Festival of Accord Flame Feet seasonal event will then follow from July 23rd through August 6th, with Arch-Tempered Uth Duna arriving July 30th through August 20th, and the Fender Event Quest coming August 27th through September 24th. They also have an Update 3 scheduled to launch in late September as well. The update for this period is going to be, they showed some underwater fights with Lagiacrus And they also showed a treasure trove of quality of life updates and even a collaboration with Fender guitars. We also got Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess celebrating its first anniversary with special content for fans. One-way players can partake in the festivities. Involves a Mazo talisman called Yasichi Waves, which alters the music with a nostalgic filter that gives it an 8-bit style. New and existing players will be able to use it starting with an update that's set to arrive next month. And that's our Capcom spotlight. Eric says, did someone say Leon with no clothes?
Yep.
Dan did multiple times.
I said it once, okay? The first time I said take all of his gear, and then the second time I'm like, just fucking embarrass the man. We might as well fucking make it the most hardcore Resident Evil ever made, you know? I didn't hear any agreement.
I'm trying to be nice, but now you're saying words like hardcore.
Oh,
you want a hardcore
right.
with stripped down Leon. Like,
all right. Let's move into the street meets. Oh fuck! Now we're talking about meets, right, Gage?
Right.
Yeah. Fucking,
it's July now, Dan. It's not June anymore.
Yeah.
Get in the game.
Yeah. Fuck. We're going into the street meets. Concept art from a canceled Batman Arkham Knight sequel has leaked online. The concept art shows that we were set to see Damian Wayne as the star of The Dark Knight. So Project Sabbath, as it was known, was in development at Batman Arkham Origins studio, Warner Brother Games Montreal, after the launch of 2015's Arkham Knight, and would have featured two Batmen, father and son. Ultimately, however, the project was canceled by Warner Brothers and WB Games Montreal, instead focused on the launch of 2022's poorly received Gotham Knights, a game with no Batman. At the time, Sabbath was planned as Warner Brothers' next big Batman game, while Rocksteady itself explored concepts featuring other characters. Of course, Rocksteady would end up making Suicide Squad kill the Justice League. But, man, these images online, this could have been fucking cool. It's fucking sick-ass art. I love the art for what could have been Damian Wayne's Batman and combining that with Old Man Bruce. Gosh, that could have been cool.
Could have been cool. It does look cool.
Could have been.
What could have been?
I miss those games.
We're going to start singing Sting. Could have been. Arcane. All right. Into the quick bites we go, guys. Borderlands 4 is the cover art for the newly restarted Game Informer. So we have a brand new look at Borderlands 4. A lot of people getting excited about this game. I'm getting excited about Game Informer returning. Sign up for Game Informer and support these people because they are now they broke free from GameStop. So all the original people are back. Support them.
Good for them. And also, I don't know why, but I'm getting very excited for Borderlands 4. And I don't want to be. But I'm actually getting excited to the point where I'm like, am I going to buy this game at launch? I shouldn't.
Why don't you want to be?
Because fuck Randy Pitchford, man.
Well, right.
But at the same time, like Ro just talked about, a bunch of artists are the people that made this game.
Right.
So at the same time...
Well, and the fact that Randy Pitchford basically fucking didn't have any involvement in this game because he was fucking too busy with the movie that was shit.
Right. But he will benefit from it.
He will, yeah.
But he will benefit from it.
He will, unfortunately.
It's never that clean.
Yeah.
There's
always blood on our hands when we play these games.
Yeah.
There's so much blood on everyone's hands.
Although he probably benefits less now than what he would have before because now they're owned by 2K instead of being independent. So now he's being paid by 2K. So I mean, I'm sure he still benefits, but
We'll take what we can get,
Yeah.
as long as it's less.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take the lessest of all the evils, please.
Oh, there we go, Keurig. Keurig's got a little quick bite. Not related, but by the way, Steam's summer sale is out until July 10th. So,
Great PSA.
Huge shout out. Yes. That's awesome, Keurig.
you thought we were done talking about layoffs, but here we are. We're back talking about layoffs. Splitgate's developer 1047 Games has announced an undisclosed amount of layoffs as we lock in to deliver the next phase of the project. Ooh. That's not good.
Mm-mm.
The first game, I think, had similar issues, and a little worried about that. About that. And you'll be like, wow, Dan, I'm so glad we're done with the layoffs talk. Well, fuck me, because we're not. Build a Rocket Boy has begun the layoff process after a terrible launch of Mind's Eye. So they confirmed IGN's report that the redundancy process has begun at the studio, issuing a statement that failed to say how many staff will be affected.
It's kind of crazy that nobody could see this coming in their mind's eye, that the game is not going to do well.
Oh,
Yay.
I'll see myself out.
Well, wait, don't see yourself out before you see what Xbox is doing, which is the Meta Quest 3S Xbox Edition. Instead of paying their developers, they're creating partnerships with MetaQuest. In all seriousness, I don't think that this deal is that bad, actually. I thought they were going to rake people over the coals, but it's actually seemingly a pretty good deal. You get the MetaQuest 3S with an Xbox controller as well as your standard motion controllers for $399.99.
I think you also get 3 months of Game Pass Ultimate as well.
Correct. Yes, you do. Yep.
I immediately checked the website to see, because I was like, I thought the same thing. I was like, just throwing the controller alone, it makes it a pretty good deal.
Right.
It seems to be only in America, so Canada does not get this. You cannot buy this up here.
Wow, it sucks to be Canadian.
It really, you know what, lately?
Well, you're right, actually. I take that back. Damn you. We heard about this a few weeks ago. Frontier Developments has announced that they are actually removing the use of generative AI in Jurassic World Evolution 3 after fan feedback. They were previously announced to be using it for the portraits for some of the scientists. So now they are saying they are removing that completely and redoing it by hand. Very good. Good news.
Yay.
Keurig says, hey, Dan, we have real maple syrup. You know what, Keurig? I have real maple syrup that's made in Canada and delivered to me. And now it's like at an all-time high in price because my president thinks that's a good idea. Thanks, Donald.
Thanks, Donald.
Incredible.
Man.
Glenn wants to know where you are, Ro. He says, I don't see the things I normally see in your background.
Oh, he's like, where's Shan? Is he okay? Is he trapped? I'm in my mom's basement. Which doesn't really answer your question. I could be trapped.
Oh.
I could be in danger. No, I'm safe.
Blink twice.
I'm safe.
Blink twice. You're in danger. Yeah. All right. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag's remake continues to get some leaks, and now it's seemingly real, as one of the actors for Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, of course, the one of the hero, Edward Kenway, has offered up some words for fans. He says, have you beaten the game? And then he said, well, you might have to beat it again. And then the fan replies with, is this true? I have to run through all of them again? And he says, well, especially this one. There's a reason I say that, but I can't say anything. Let's bring it back.
Interesting. I think this makes sense because they're probably, if it's a legitimate proper remake, they're probably going to use a lot of the tech that they developed for Skull and Bones to just integrate that into this, right? I don't. Is Skull and Bones, was that made on Anvil, their engine?
I think it. That's a good question.
Because if it is, then that's even more fuel to the fire. This makes sense that this would be the one that they remake first.
Yep, it was developed using the Anvil engine. Yeah, because I think
I would not be surprised if we. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it was originally made as an Assassin's Creed game, and then it changed.
Right. And now they're working backwards again, the snake eating itself, where they're going to turn this game that was originally an Assassin's Creed game into an Assassin's Creed game.
Incredible. Huge. Well, Keurig says, gems worth getting. Fallout 4, Kingdom Come Deliverance, and The Outer Worlds, all each under 12 Canadian. Let me just fucking clap for you, Keurig, for saying Outer Worlds, my 2019 game of the year. Let's fucking go. And also, Patnat says, speaking of Stream Summer Sale, I got Master Chief Collection so that Dan would be proud of me. I am proud of you, and that also makes me proud to lead directly into our next quick bite. Halo Studios has announced a look at their next game will come at Halo World Championships in October. Very excited. They said, last year at Halo World Championships, we premiered A New Dawn, where we talked about the switch to Unreal Engine, gave you a behind-the-scenes look at Project Foundry, and debuted our evolution to Halo Studios as we enter a new chapter for Halo. For us, A New Dawn was just the beginning. At this year's Halo World Championship, we look forward to continuing the conversation. Let's fucking go.
Let's go.
Hell yeah. Gage, fucking show some excitement.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Assuming it doesn't get canceled between now and then.
Don't put those words in existence. All right. EA has put out a little tease that NCAA College Basketball may be returning. They put out, bring the madness, let's run it back. Hashtag CBB. It's in the game with a picture of a college basketball with their logo. Let's go. I'm excited for this. I loved college basketball. EA's college basketball series back in the day. I played it so much, and honestly was probably one of the major reasons why I followed college basketball so much. And ever since it's been gone, I've been sad and sorely missing it. It's been 15 years since you guys thought that you were fucking missing out with your stupid little NCAA football being gone. No, NCAA basketball has been gone for far longer, and we're finally getting it back. Let's go.
Let's go.
All right. Oh, sorry, what?
I said, oh, man. Yeah. I used to love the NBA Live games, just the normal ones, from EA back in the day. I didn't really play 2K growing up, but mostly Live.
I did too. Yeah. And then they ruined it. They fucking took it.
They sure did.
Remember that one year they just canceled it? They're like, yeah, we're not making it this year because it's bad.
Not gonna do it.
Yeah.
At least they recognized it was, and they didn't release a bad game, which is what they do now.
Right. Well, they did release a bad one the year prior, and I think that's why they were like, yeah, we maybe need to look at this. Incredible. Keurig said, oh wait, I get it. With all the layoffs going on, when I arrived late, I must have missed the announcement of Christian getting laid off.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's actually funny. No, Christian will return. He will return. All right, the last quick bite. Neil Druckmann is officially stepping away from the Last of Us HBO series. He put out a statement Co-creating the show has been a career highlight. It's been an honor to work alongside Craig Mazin to executive produce, direct, and write on the last 2 seasons. I'm deeply thankful for the thoughtful approach and dedication to the talented cast and crew to adapting The Last of Us Part 1 and the continued adaptation of The Last of Us Part 2. So he's going back to fully working at Naughty Dog.
Can I throw something out there about when we were talking about Phil Spencer and his choice of words earlier?
Yes.
If we wanted to if we want to read too much into this, I thought it was interesting that he says, "I'm deeply thankful for the thoughtful approach and dedication of the adaptation of The Last of Us Part 1 and the continued adaptation of The Last of Us Part 2." It stuck out to me. It stuck out to me. I was like, is that maybe just a little way of Yeah. I don't blame him at all. I would totally be jumping ship. I think one off season isn't enough to kill a show, but if season 3 comes out and it doesn't do well and HBO ends up canceling it, it's probably better for him to not have anything to do with that if he plans to be in the TV space in the future at some point.
Indeed. Pat Nat says, "Pour one out for Christian." Christian's not gone, guys.
If the PXN viewership goes up, we will rehire him. It's not a permanent thing.
We do have some breaking news here. Of course, as the week unfolds, I think we're going to get more information about the Microsoft layoffs. So keep that in mind. We may have more to share next week, because there's been more as we went on through the day. Gage, prepare yourself here. I'm just kidding. I was trolling you. It's not Undead Labs. I've been trolling you. Woo! Sorry. No, but we have information from Engadget, who spoke to a Halo Studios developer. At least 5 people were laid off. They received an invite to a meeting with organization leaders, and 2 very long hours later, the team's call began. The mood at the studio is tense, especially when it comes to one project that was recently in crisis, according to the developer, which could be the certain Affinity game that we keep hearing about. Some people are saying it's there, it's not, I don't know. But here's a quote. "I don't think anybody is really happy about the quality of the product right now," they said, speaking about this product. "There's been a lot of tension and pep talks trying to rally folks to ship. Since 2023, there's been a general shift toward working with contracted studios rather than individual contractors in the United States and Europe to speed up Halo production. The developer says Microsoft is trying their damnedest to replace as many jobs as they can with AI agents." Oh my gosh.
I feel like I've been hearing this headline, since they're saying since 2023, but what I'm about to say is I feel like I've heard this going back to like 2019, 2018, of like, oh, we're shifting away from, we're shifting towards contractors. Like, I feel like that's been happening a lot longer than the last 2 years. Like, Microsoft, especially with Halo, that's been like a controversial headline for many years now, I feel like.
Yeah, because I think it's a Microsoft policy that they make their developers contract so much of their work, which, could be attributed to some of the problems, because you have so many different people that are in and out of the project when you have a game that's going, 6-7 years in development, and you have tons of turnover. Well,
and not to excuse that behavior, because it is inexcusable, but like it was probably even worse when you're using an in-house engine, right, where you have people come on, and I think the number that people threw around is that it's like Microsoft uses 6-month contracts, right? So you come in, by the time you get a feel for the engine, you know what you're doing, you're on your way out, and somebody else is coming in and they're fresh. So maybe the switch to Unreal will help with that. It's still a shit policy, and they shouldn't be doing it, because you're not going to have any morale or any sort of sense of cohesion amongst the artist. But maybe, fingers crossed, using an open source quote unquote engine like that, widely available engine, maybe will help.
Absolutely. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
But I'm a little worried about that comment about they're worried about a project. I'm hoping it's the Certain Affinity project and it's not the remake, because the timing of it, in terms of them saying like they're wanting them to hurry up and get it, released, it makes me feel like that Microsoft is breathing down their necks to make sure it releases for the 25th anniversary of Xbox and Halo next year, which we know how that was going with Halo Infinite when they were trying to pressure them to release on the 20th anniversary of Halo in 2020, or 2021, sorry. But, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. All right, let's get into a fantasy draft check-in. It's been a minute since we've checked in. We've had a lot going on. But we have a couple of updates here. Rowe has acquired a new game, Silent Hill F, with a bid of $5. Got him a little Silent Hill game.
Heck yeah.
You're going to play it, though, right?
I play every game that I draft. Every game. Everybody knows this.
Gage is going to be upset about this one. You guys are going to have fighting words because Rowe has acquired a counter pick of unannounced mainline Half-Life game with a bid of $5.
Wait, what?
He counterpicked your
he
pick.
counterpicked it. I think he said he picked it up. I was like, how did he steal it from me?
No. He counterpicked
Okay, Ro.
it.
Okay, Ro.
I'd say if it hasn't been announced at this point, it's probably not coming.
Yeah, I'm starting to get more. Yeah, it's definitely not coming. I don't think it's coming.
I'm not even sure it's real.
I'm sure it's real. I'm positive it's real. I just don't think it's coming this year.
We'll see. All right. Have we had any recent releases? I know we had Death Stranding, but I think we mentioned that last week. Just in case it updated, I'll give you a refresher that Death Stranding 2 is sitting still at 90 Open Critic for 20 points for Christian. That's massive for him. Absolutely massive. Trying to think if there was anything else that released. Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting. There's a game on my list that says will not release this year. I didn't see that news. Apparently, Dave the Diver in the Jungle is no longer releasing this year. So I'll have to release
We thought that was such a safe pick, too.
Yeah, I'll have to release it. That's fine. I've got plenty of releases available for games that will not release this year. My strategy is intact. I released games before they get delayed, except for that one. And then, do you guys have new ones yet? Rose still needs to drop Grand Theft Auto 6. He's still maybe he's thinking that. Yeah.
We've decided to move up the release
months.
date 1 year.
Yeah.
Rose still has it on his fantasy draft, so we made a decision to release it this year on second thought.
You know what? That's a chance.
Yeah, they might.
Did we talk about Rematch? Rematch is at a 74 Open Critic for only 4 points.
Wow.
And that's yours.
Who had
Gage.
Rematch on there?
That's yours.
God damn it.
That is surprising, though. That seems low.
I mean, I think it makes sense, right? If you're picking it apart at the sum of its parts, I could see a 74, right? The fun that players are having with it is not necessarily equal to the quality, the technical quality, because it is a little rough around the edges.
Fair enough.
But that is definitely 4 points is definitely not great.
All right. So, breakdown of the points here. This is exciting because in last place, sorry, Ro. Last place is Roshan with 38.83 points, which you may ask me, how do they get the decimal points? Because they're all just round numbers. I don't fucking know where they're getting the decimal points from. I've never understood where I've never understood where the decimal points come from, but they're in there. So 38.83 for Rowe, and he is sitting in fourth place with 3 games released. That's the bright spot. You only have 3 games released, so you have plenty of room. Come back. Gage is, I was going to say unsurprisingly, that's kind of mean, is in third place. He's in third place with 61.65 points. He's had 5 games release. Bro could get you there. Let's see. Christian is in second place with 98.02 points. And he has had 6 games release. And Dan has reclaimed his throne in first place with, yes, 0.06 more than Christian at 98.08 points. And I have had 7 games release. Boom. A look at our upcoming games here for July. EA Sports College Football 26 coming July 10th for Gage. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4 remake coming July 11th for me. Donkey Kong Bonanza, which Christian stole from me, coming July 17th for Christian. Ninja Gaiden Ragebound coming July 31st, also for Christian. And that's our July look ahead. Good luck, everyone. All right.
Good luck.
Let us move into what you got for me. What you got for me, Dan? Well, Dan, I've got some fucking banger news because... Whoops, I just dropped my controller. I've got some banger news because Dan has finished a video game, and it is Doom: The Dark Ages. I have completed the campaign, 22 missions. They said it couldn't be done, and I fucking did it. So fuck you all. I actually, surprisingly, like, the deeper I got into Doom: The Dark Ages, the more I enjoyed it. I know I initially said that it was probably the weakest in terms of gameplay. I think by the end of it, I actually enjoyed it about the same as the other two now. The more upgrades that I saw for the weapons and the more weapons that I saw, because you get variants of each weapon as well, I very much enjoyed the weapons. I still think like the parry system is a little wonky, instead of what it used to have with just the dashing and avoidance system. However, I still very much enjoyed it, and weapon upgrades were awesome, like I said. And actually, the story in Doom: The Dark Ages was my highlight that I enjoyed far more than the stories of both Doom Eternal and Doom 2016. Like, those games are awesome games, but story-wise, this has been my favorite Doom game. And I really liked seeing, like, the beginnings of Doom Guy and, like, seeing his character essentially be, like, morphed, which I thought that was really cool to see. Without spoiling anything, it was really cool to see all of that. So, very fun. 10 out of 10. Not a 10 out of 10. I don't know why I said that. Great game. Also been playing more Rematch with the lads, and that is still a lot of fun. Despite some of its issues, bugs and such, it is still a lot of fun to be had there. Ro, what you got?
This week, I got nothing, unfortunately. Nothing this week.
That's fair. That's fair. Glenn's got who's in favor of starting a swear jar for Daniel Prindle. You know what, Glenn? All right.
Say it.
You can fuck right off, Glenn.
There it is.
25 cents in the jar already.
That's right.
25 cents. Put it in there.
That's
the swear jar. The swear jar also has to be in USD. I think we need to put that out there. And then at the end of the year, Rashan and I are the ones that get paid out.
You know what's hilarious? That's coming from me that, for the first like 30-ish episodes of this podcast, I told Sean, no swearing, don't swear at all. And then I was the first one to swear, and then like now it's just like all hordes.
The dam is
holds
broken.
bar.
Yeah.
So, all right, Gage, what you got for?
I almost, for the first time in this podcast history, was in the same boat as Roshan if it wasn't for a little bit of rematch. Because this last week I've been moving, so haven't had a lot of time to play stuff, but I have been playing some rematch with the lads, and it is still very, very fun. When you bring that ball from your net all the way up the pitch and you're passing and you make a play happen, my God, it feels so good. It feels so good. It's interesting. It's like, I think the reason why people are vibing with this game so much is that you can get these like dopamine hits that is like, you can essentially multiple times in 1 6-minute match, you can get these dopamine hits that is equivalent to, like, you know, making a push in Overwatch or in some sort of competitive shooter and winning a match, except you get that hit every time you score a goal and you get that play. So it's great, man. I'm having fun with the rematch a lot. It's definitely my favorite multiplayer game of the year so far.
Yes. And it's even better as you fully learn all the controls.
Yep. Shout out to Guy as well. We had Guy show up and we had a nice little 4-stack going. Had some fun. Good times.
Good times indeed. What, last week we had Justin, friend of the show, join us, and Sheldon joined.
Yeah,
Glenn,
I think this is hopefully this Glenn. Yeah, this weekend we can get a full 5-stack again. Because that was we've only had a full 5-stack once, and that was fun too. That was really fun.
Very fun indeed. Look at that. We made it. We made it on time on your new schedule, Gage. Even if you had to work tonight, we would be on time.
Perfect. Look at that.
Incredible.
Efficiency is the name of the game here.
And thank you again to everyone joining us live on YouTube and Twitch, as well as podcast services everywhere, including Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. Thank you, Ro. Thank you, Gage. Christian will return. I am Daniel, and this has been Podcast PXN, and we are out. Much love, and keep on gaming.
See ya.
Adios.